Welcome to the Savvy Property Investors Podcast, a weekly show that delivers the best hard-hitting property industry news, business advice, and talks that will get you ascending in the real estate industry.
Welcome to another edition of the Savvy Property Investors Show. I'm Sheritage Kene, and I'm glad that you're tuning in to a very special edition today. Now, this is a recap finale edition where Ms Sapphire Gray will be giving us the ins and the outs of what it took to create, run, and manage the Savvy Property Investors Show. Ms. Gray, thank you so much for sharing your platform with me yet again and for being kind enough to give us the rundown of what it took to become a podcaster. Now, you are new to this, and this has been your season one. So, being the star behind this amazing podcast, you've had a very phenomenal, looking at the figures that you've shared with me earlier on, you've had a phenomenal season one with an amazing global reach. I'm curious, as many would be, to find out what was the inspiration behind, starting this podcast, and what was that why that drove you to become a podcaster?
Well, basically, I felt that using your voice is always a good way of reaching your community and sharing with your audience expert advice as well. So I wanted to create a platform where I can bring on experts and share their expertise in the field of property investment. Not only that, in life as well. We've had some fantastic guests on our show this season, and I just wanted to bring our property business to life, but through audio and visual.
Okay, so you shared with me the figures. We are having downloads, and I was really amazed that the reach is not only just UK where you are. We are having North America, Africa as well. Tuning in and listening in. What is the reception of the podcast so far for season one?
Oh, people are finding it really informative, brilliant interaction. They're loving the guests that have been coming on. They're loving the content that we've been sharing as well, and learning from it and getting inspiration from it. So it's really good. And thank all our audience around the world that are tuning in on a weekly basis to take part in our show. We so appreciate it. And as I said, it is new. And as you said, it is new. And we're just getting around the whole idea of doing an audio for our clients and visual. But it's been really welcoming by our guests as well, because at the end of the day, when it's an audio, people can just listen on the go. So they're learning as they're going along as well. And the feedback from that is that they're getting so much from it that they're able to learn from it and implement it at the same time.
Did you anticipate such a response from the public?
Well, no, because this is so new to us. It's like the public has been such a blessing, and our community is growing because of it, and our outreach is growing because of it. We want to showcase property investment in a different way, in a way that people can understand it. It's small chunks, and not only that, looking at how women get into the investment realm as well, and what they need to do to take on board to do that. We've had guests on here talking about this 6 weeks holiday. That was Claire Ford talking about how to navigate that through the 6 weeks. How can we help our children? And people may feel, well, how's that connected to property? Well, it is, because when you're looking at property and you're looking at it as a business aspect, she's trying to help you to how to navigate your family and still run your business, or still be able to go to work but entertain your family, because I'm about family first. So it was a really good show having her on to say, this is what you can do through the holidays with your children. So that was another good one. And then entrepreneurs like Alina, and also with Kim talked about a lot of things on how to transition from an employee to self-employment, becoming an entrepreneur. So that was really good. That really interacted with our audience. They could connect with that, because a lot of people are transitioning out from being an employee to being their own boss, being an entrepreneur. But the rest of the guests that was on there, like Angel and Richard, Angel was about finance. Richard talked heavily on auctions, which was excellent, because a lot of people hear about auctions but don't know about auctions. So it was really good for him to really get out there and say, this is from start to finish how you can buy from an auction. Ritika, she's from Seven Capitals, and that was really good as well because they talked about development and housing, and what is the highlights of this year. I will share other guests as well that we have as we go along.
All right. So we are on our recap episode 12. So meaning from episode 1 to 11, you've had 11 guests who have shared with you phenomenal advice and knowledge. So looking at the season, what have you learned? What is the lesson from 1 to 11? It's a big chunk, but if you could just break it down, for us, what have you learned and how have you grown?
Okay, so when you're in the aspects of growing out a podcast, when you're selecting your guests, make sure that your guests are in the theme of what you're trying to do, in the process of what you're trying to develop and to help your community. Because if you're getting random guests on that has no bearings on your community or what your theme is, it didn't make sense. So I knew that I had to be strategic with how we planned this out. And each week when the recordings came in, making sure we had all the assets to send out to our community, making sure they were always uploaded and we could get things out on a timely manner. The guests that we had on were, as I said, absolutely phenomenal. And I will personally thank them at the end of this, just to say thank you for being our guests. But each one of them brought their own school of thought in the property realm or a workaround as an entrepreneur. So when you look at the speakers that we had on, each one of them gave such great nuggets that could help anybody transition from an employee to a property investor business, building out their business, or just looking at life in general to say, hey, if I wanted to do this in the future, this is what we could do. So it was like really building on that. And technical side of things was really hard. Getting our head around that, doing all the icons. It was so much things that went behind it. If anyone said to me, it's easy to do a podcast, it simply wasn't. But once you get momentum and traction, yes, you find it easier to do. I mean, we're still working on it. We're still growing it. We're still learning. And that's why we always welcome feedback from people so we can make our show better and enhance it for the listeners and viewers.
So you've touched a little bit about the challenges that you faced. Could you expound on that?
Well, the challenges is technical ones. I'm not a tech person. So when you're looking at different platforms to host your podcast, you have to make sure that you're hosting it on the right platforms. We use Lipson to host our shows. And that's been a great asset to us because not only have they got everything there, it's so simple to follow. I mean, I wouldn't say I've said that at the first hurdle, but now it's so simple to follow. I find it very easy to use. We use Canva for all of our icons and things like that. So there's a lot of things that go behind it. But when I give most respect to those who've been in the game for a long time. There's lots of people out there. I've had a brilliant coach sitting behind me as well, really helping through this as well. So it's been really a baptism into podcasting. Didn't think I'd ever do it because as much as I love speaking, I'm more of a live speaker out networking. But through this whole year, what it's taught me that in order to reach your audience, you better adapt. You better get out there. You better do what you need to do to reach your audience. And no better way to do that than through a podcast. And I found it so, as I said, so refreshing to be able to speak to an audience and not even knowing who I'm speaking to. So the only time that I know is by numbers. It's a numbers thing. And when they leave a message or when they leave a comment to say it was really a good show, that's really good. That's a confidence boost to say, yep, it's actually working. And with the downloads and the views, again, it's really good when you see that. And we always welcome comments. We always welcome feedback and, questions that they may want to ask or even topics that our audience may want to ask. We're happy to do that as well because we want to deliver a really robust podcast session so that our viewers really get a grips of who we are as a business as well.
So Knowing you and having interacted with you, you're a very strategic person.
Hmm.
The why for this podcast was to share the knowledge that, a lot of people need to know and learn. But what has been the strategic, push that the podcast has given the Savvy Women group? What impact has it had on the brand?
Well, anything that you create to reach your audience is always going to have a positive impact, so long as it's done in a positive way.
Mhm.
Our reach is to just really try and communicate with our audience, to show them that we are here, we do exist. We're very friendly and approachable. And I think that's the thing that people, when you sit behind a company, if you're not showcasing it on your face or your voice, people
Mhm.
tend to think it's just a blind company. And I didn't want that. I wanted people to know we are real. And also, when you're doing podcasts as well, not everything is perfect. So we're imperfect. So it was just to be who we were as people, as I am as a person, and how my brand. I'm not just sitting behind my brand. I want to showcase my brand, but also want to showcase who I am, so people can connect with me. I'm human after all, so therefore I want people to reach out. I want people to talk to me. I want people to feel that they can approach me and that I'm approachable.
What three words would explain your experience for season one?
3 words: open, fun,
Mhm.
and elating. It was just fun. It was absolutely fun doing it. It was the rewards were there. It was elating because people were just connecting, and I felt people were connecting. They were saying it was really good. The feedback was just phenomenal, as I said. And I just loved it. Absolutely loved it.
What were some of the gems that you got from the guests that you didn't know? Or what was that knowledge piece that you got from a guest and you're like, wait a minute, I didn't know this?
I think I can't even break it down to one guest. I think every single guest that we had on had gems to share. I've been in the property space 30 plus years, so, and
Mhm.
business space. So for me, when I'm always updating my knowledge. So every one of the guests that came on gave me a nugget. If it wasn't in finance or auctions or what's happening, the trending this year with Seven Capital, or
Mhm.
Celine, who shared about assisted living as well. There's so much that sits behind that as well. So hearing all of the things, the paperwork, the legalities of it, how to set it up, was really good. I learned from that as well. With Kim, I learned how to transition. I also transitioned, but I was a parent that transitioned into entrepreneurship. But transitioning from a job to entrepreneurship, that was really good. So I learned a lot there. What to do, how to educate your kids from Claire, that was
Mhm.
really good as well. And she shared um, how you can educate your kids through their 6 weeks holiday, but make it fun. Joseph, he talked a lot about the architectural part of our podcast as well. And having an architect is so important. And he brought out the importance of having an architect on board, which I thought was fantastic. I really enjoyed his podcast. Elena, again, she shared with us that the unboxing or inboxing of people, how to just develop yourself, come out of yourself, stop stepping in your own shadow. I really loved that because it really made me think about where I sit and what I do. And when
Mhm.
we're connecting, because I really believe in a lot of her principles that she works around. So that was excellent to sort of hear that and be in the same space with someone with the same mindset as well.
Okay.
And with Janice was phenomenal as well because she was sharing with us the things that you should use within your business that will help your business grow. And as an investor, there's certain safety implications that you have to point. So she talked about on security in your websites and your emails and things like that. Having 2 SIMs, why it's important to have 2 SIMs when you're running a business, one for personal. She talked about security, both in your investment properties, both in your home. So for me, there was a lot of things that I was going through, and like with Richard with network auctions, learning from them as well. So all of these services, I now feel comfortable I could also use within our business. and go further than just the podcast. Because having a guest on is not just about having a guest on. It's about how can you help them, and in turn that they will help you. So there's been a lot of where I've spoken on their platforms as well. So I think that's been a real good balance, that we're able to swap our shows over with each other. So we've actually done joint ventures together because we've opened up that corridor for us to do that and doing things together. So it really does work. And that's what I like about building a community. Even if you've got a guest on, that is part of your community and you're now become part of theirs. So it really does help both of you and both of your businesses grow.
So what should we look forward to for season 2?
Our season 2 is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be jam-packed with, again, some wonderful guests coming on. And it's going to be around really focusing now, drilling down on property. And we're going to have some guests that will speak upon that. And we're looking forward to sharing that with you.
When do we expect season 2 to come through?
Season 2 will be in September. We're breaking for our summer holiday. So we look forward to season 2 with you in September. And we'll make sure that you are aware that it's coming out so you don't miss out on season 2.
If the audience wants to interact with you and with the show as well, where could they, go to find the material?
Well, everything is on our website. So if you can see with the banner, if you go to www.savvywomen.co.uk, or you can look on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We're on there. All our contact details are on there. But the easiest reach is always social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. Hit us up. Have a conversation with us. Join our community. Would love to have you. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to podcast@savvywomen.co.uk, where we'll be willing to answer those and also keep you informed of any information coming out from the Savvy Women group.
Okay, there you have it. Words from Sapphire Gray, just giving us, a recap of what season 1 has been. We'll be taking a 1-month break through the month of August, but we'll return in September with an amazing jam-packed property-based podcast. So that's something you need to watch out for if you're looking for gems, knowledge, understanding of what property is and how to make, your wealth through property investment. That is one podcast you do not want to miss. Ms. Sapphire, thank you for sharing your space with me again. I'm really enjoying it. At this rate, we should work out a plan so that at least I could be, joining season 2 in a guest role perhaps.
Yeah.
But thank you so much. We do appreciate you giving us, the insights and for sharing with us the knowledge that not only you have learned, you have shared, but also what your guests have shared as well. So thank you.
And I would definitely like to leave this by thanking our season 1 guests, Angel Thomas, Richard Worrell, Ritika Upnell, Celine Brown, Kim Speed, Claire Ford, Joseph Fakel, Celine Chesser, Elena Turner, Janice Beckles. Thank you so much for your sharing all of your business, your ideas, your predictions for 2021. It's been phenomenal. And I'd like to personally thank you for honoring us as being our guest on our show, our season 1. And thank you for all of our listeners and supporters out there. We look forward to sharing more from ourselves in season 2 with other wonderful guests that we're going to have on our show. Look forward to it.
Thank you so much, Sapphire. So stay tuned. Always go through our social media platforms to get, further, information of when season 2 will be dropping out. But from now till September, we wish you well. So see you in the Savvy Property Investors Show, season 2, dropping the first week of September.
This week's episode of the Savvy Property Investors Podcast was brought to you by our sponsor, the Savvy Women Group. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's show, head over to our website, www.savvywomen.co.uk, to gain access to our free resources and more insights about our guest speaker today. Remember, we make your business our business, so you can unlock your full potential and improve your quality of life.